Used EV prices set to stabilise in 2025 as market share increases. AT Price Tracker. Free. Best insight ever. Used electric vehicle prices are expected to stabilise throughout 2024 against a flat year for the total market, according to new predictions from Cox Automotive. Early signs of levelling are notable across EV prices as retailers begin to acknowledge customers' value and shorter days to sell. 1 day shorter than petrol, and that's not really taking into account all the ones that are sold new, pre-registered, to get the bonus and sold on to the customer the same day. So effectively, they get a new sale and they get a used sale. It's twofer. Don't kid it, boys. Early signs of levelling are notable across EV prices as retailers begin to acknowledge customer value and shorter days to sell. Following a sluggish start to the year, trade values and first-time conversion rates are firming, and overall performance against cap clean is increasing, especially in the lower price bandings. As recent Cox Automotive and Regit data revealed, 69% of drivers wouldn't be willing to pay more for an EV over a petrol or diesel alternative. The prospect of lower priced used EVs could help drive adoption in 2025. EV supply gap will keep prices strong in 2025. Values are predicted to stay strong due to a supply gap from recent years of low registrations in the first half of 2025. Values are predicted to stay strong due to a supply gap from recent years of low registrations in the first half of 2025. They will likely continue until prices return to standard depreciation patterns in the third quarter. As interest rates and inflation hopefully stabilise further this year, consumer demand is likely to increase in line. A positive development for those in the used market. EV market share expected to increase substantially. EVs and hybrids, pulling in hybrids now, not just EVs on their own, hybrids as well. So they're really petrol and diesels, they're not electric, they're petrol and diesels. So what they're doing, EVs aren't enough, they can't make a case with EVs alone. So they're pulling in petrol and diesel cars that've got a little electric motor on them, a little battery, nobody uses. Both plug-in hybrid electric vehicles, PHEVs, and hybrid electric vehicles, HEVs, so both of them, they're pulling in the PHEVs and the HEVs, are projected to increase their share by 87.37%, while EVs will increase by 177.45%. Meanwhile, petrol cars will see a minor decrease in the same time period by approximately 5.97%. PHEVs and HEVs, aren't they petrol cars? So hybrids are expected to go up 87% with the petrol or diesel engine, but petrol, why are they being included in electrics when the majority of their use will be on petrol or diesel? We know why. It's like a rhetorical question. Meanwhile, although petrol ownership is projected to remain relatively stable, the same cannot be said for diesels. More privates are buying diesels than are buying battery electric vehicles. Now you'll find this funny. It just depends on your perspective, really. The share of diesel in the car park is projected to decrease significantly by 2028. Well, they're not making them. You can hardly get them. Driven largely by stricter emissions regulations, changes in production volumes, supply chain efficiencies, and shifting consumer supply chain efficiencies. You mean all the vehicles that are delivered on by big diesel transporters? Looking back at 2024, as little as 123,000 new diesel vehicles were registered compared to 1,065,879 in 2017. This trend will filter through into the used car market, limiting the supply of newer diesel models but also declining consumer interest in this vehicle type. Diesels will go up. Supply and demand, there'll be plenty of people wanting diesels, trust me. Used diesels are selling fine. If anybody tells you any different, they're lying to you. As diesels get fewer in supply, they will hold their price better. If you want to buy something that's going to hold its price, get yourself a diesel. Remaining challenges for EV market. Despite progress in building the UK's EV car park, challenges remain. The used market for EVs is expected to remain fragmented as they are generally priced lower than their internal combustion engine, ICE counterparts, posing challenges when it comes to retaining their value. Do you want me to translate for you? New EVs tank. New EVs are a worse buy than petrol or diesel because they lose the money faster. New EVs, if you're a private, you cannot possibly afford to buy a new EV. This combined with regulatory pressures, including VAT charges on charging, the changes to company car tax rules for FEVs, which could drive up the rate for certain models from 8% to 24%, vehicle excise duty, and the prospect of road pricing means that an air of uncertainty lingers around the used electric market. Northard said, I know Philip, I met him on several occasions. The last thing I want to do is disagree with him, but I've got to. He's got his job to do. Northard added, supply and demand are central to the dynamics of the used car market, but successful retailers must go deeper. Stock profiling, ensuring the right mix of vehicles aligns with market needs, and strategic stock sourcing are now more crucial than ever. Retailers must adapt to these shifting dynamics and ensure that they can meet the diverse needs of consumers, all while navigating the challenges of transforming automotive landscape. Leveraging data effectively to anticipate trends and consumer preferences can give retailers a competitive edge. Should I tell you what will give retailers a competitive edge? And it's free. CAP costs a fortune. Dealer portal on Autotrader costs a fortune. All the other people cost a fortune. AT Price Tracker is free and it gives you the best insight into the market ever. It's free. AT Price Tracker. Free. Best insight ever. And with AT Price Tracker, you will be able to see what a load of rubbish these reports are. Here we go, Autotrader. These EV people, they are just completely blinkered. They haven't got a clue. Here we go. Peter Harrison. Now, I used to go to school with a guy called Peter Harrison, and he was the biggest bully I've ever come across in my life. He really was a big bully. And so obviously Peter Harrison, I headed down on him as soon as I saw his name. But Dr. Andy Palmer here. Electric car owners can save $5,850 with millions of drivers urged to ditch petrol and diesel cars. So Dr. Andy Palmer again, even though he used to be head of Aston Martin, producing like loads of gas guzzlers and so on, he's changed his mind now. And he's a big electric vehicle advocate. He's on one of the panel. He's on the news all the time. Electric car owner. So he's retweeted this too. Let's see how many followers he's got. He's got 28,400 followers. So that's gone out to 28,400 people. It's wrong. completely wrong, but it's gone out to 28,400 followers. So I replied to him, and yet just last month alone, all petrol cars went up and all age and mileage EVs tanked. An equivalent age and mileage EV costs more new but is worth less used by 2,560. But yeah, sure, you can save money if you buy an EV. Laughing emojis. Used combustion engine models are on average £2,560 more expensive than equivalent electric models from the same manufacturers, a difference of 10% according to car gurus. Again, EVs are bombed, and they're not just bombed to £2,560 less than the equivalent car. They actually cost a lot more, £10,000 to £15,000 in some cases more than the car that they're now worth less than. 19 to 21 plate Tesla Y dropped £3,475. Biggest fallers in percentage at 3 years, 30,000 miles, February 25, Tesla Model X. The data showed that used electric car prices declined across all the age and mileage profiles. At 1 year and 10,000 miles, values dropped by 1.6%, £540, while at 3 years and 60,000 miles, the decline was also 1.6%, £350. 5-year-old battery electric vehicles saw the steepest drop at 2.2%, £400, as they get towards the point where nobody will buy one, unless it's so cheap, just in case the battery goes. When something goes wrong on an engine, it's not usually a catastrophic failure of the engine. It's usually a part, it's usually an EGR valve, I don't know, something else, it can be anything, an ECU, whatever, a sensor, a crank sensor. That's usually what, not the whole battery, which costs like, you know, when your car's 10 years old, if you want to buy a new battery, it will be the same price as it was when it was new. So it's an uneconomic repair. They'll just become worthless. So there you go. And biggest fallers, I've sent this to Andy. Potential to save thousands, all that stuff. He's not replied. I used to like him, honestly. I used to like him. I've got no time for him whatsoever now. No time at all. But then, Peter Harrison, he's decided that he'll chip in. You told us used EVs tanked in value and are now cheaper than an equivalent petrol diesel car. Therefore, it doesn't take a genius to work out how you can save money by buying, I'm assuming he means and running, a used EV. The only other requirement is you need facility to change. You need facility to change EV at home, he means charge. I do it all the time. I'm not taking a mizzet. I get blooming Mars bar's fingers. I type the wrong things, or autocorrect changes it and I don't notice. We are told private buyers don't buy new EVs now. It's only fleets and businesses. Or is that different? Now you want to claim individual, I think that's individual, private buyers are losing money on new EVs. Which is it? So I've got to choose now. I've got to choose. Leasing companies are losing money buying new EVs. Firms are losing money buying new EVs because they're not worth what they thought they would be, guaranteed future values. Now, these people that buy on PCPs, don't matter to me. Depreciation don't matter to me because I get it on a PCP. I can just hand it back. Yeah, you can just hand it back. But wouldn't it have been better if you'd bought a petrol or diesel and that car is now worth more than your guaranteed future value and you've got money towards your deposit? Because that's what happens. When you hand it back, the leasing company then blew a fortune. So, yes. So he comes back, again, stuff that I'm not interested in. This is my EV running cost, £270. £270 for 9,747 miles. An equivalent BMW X5 40D would have cost me £2,100 124 in fuel for the same mileage. I've saved 1,854 in fuel in 1 year. Well, you're not, because the X5 would have been more. You know, let running costs include depreciation. So if you're going to do it, a proper calculation, if you've got it on PCP, you can hand it back. But you've still lost money. Don't kid yourself, you've not. You've still lost money. Because if you'd have got that X5, it would have been worth more. And on your PCP, you'd have had a deposit towards your next car, which you now won't have. And do you know why you won't have it? Put your shovel down, Pete. Leasing companies have lost a fortune, apparently an average of £2,400 on each EV, even though they no doubt got them for a massive discount to start off. And the motor trade subsidised sales by 4.5 billion. Well, there's some saying it was 6 billion last year. Save money, the motor trade can't even make money on it. We're also told by EV mouthpieces that private buyers do buy EVs, but they're all getting them through salary sacrifice and therefore are counted as fleet. Except fleet sales went down 3,317 when if private buyers are being lumped together, you'd expect the fleet sales to go up, and private sales only went down by 300. Where's the privates disappeared to? All these EV shill ramblings just none of it adds up. So let's examine his running cost. Car was registered 13th of the 12th 2023. It's dropped £36,000. Just over 12 months, dropped half its value. With that 36 grand, you could have bought 5,806 gallons of dinosaur juice and drive 145,161 miles in a 5-litre Mustang with a massive smile on your face. You're welcome. Same with the X5, it would be worth more money now and overall cost you less to run. Just absolute. These people are so blinkered. He then goes on to say he doesn't like the interior of a Mustang and it wouldn't put a smile on his face. And then here we go. Here you go. It's just, I'm not paying 36,000 for my iX for 3 years though. It's much less. So your point is completely invalid. Also, have you seen the interior of the Mustang? No one is smiling sitting in that. Trust me, I smiled in mine. I had a grin from ear to ear. There we go. So he's not losing the money. He's paying less than that. Then the leasing company will be losing it. I've sent him a link to the BVRI, and all they do is moan about what a hard time they're having and they need government assistance. Have a read of this. Look at the state of the leasing companies begging for help. It's only the fact that ICE car residuals went up and offset some of their losses that they aren't all bankrupt. So EVs tanked, ICE cars were worth more than they expected, and that mitigated some of the loss. ICE cars to the rescue. So it's your point that it's completely invalid, not mine. Hope that helps. They don't give up, these EV people. Actually, let's have a look. I'm not sure whether I've asked. I think I've asked him before what he does and he wouldn't say. To answer the what do you do for a living question, I genuinely cannot say, as it is against my employment contract terms to mention it on social media. As a general rule, no one should talk about their work life on personal social media anyway. Then he goes on to talk about VED payments. So he's gone from used ones, being a genius. Now he's gone to new ones. Vehicles that pollute the streets more should be taxed more. Simple. Hey, I quite agree. So EVs start at -2. So vehicles that pollute the streets more should be taxed more. Simple. I quite agree. Pete, you've hit the nail on the head. EVs start at -23,500 miles. That's how much they have to do to become carbon neutral with the petrol So using your logic, EVs should pay more. I totally agree. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Bye bye.